Ready to go.
Welcome to all our friends around the world. This is a special edition of High Five Live today with a broadcast directly from the border in Poland and having the great privilege of hearing more about what's happening from the amazing humanitarian effort that's going on from wonderful members of the church to bless so many that are members of the church and not members.
That's right. And so we asked Rob Sturgill to be with us, and we asked for a bio, and all he said was that he is a husband and a father. And we are also as privileged to have with us Elder, what can I think of?
Rick Schroeder.
Yes, thank you. I even wrote it down. Elder Schroeder, who is serving with his wife, and they came over from this Czech-Slovak, mission.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to just talk to us. We'll let you read more about them and go to their sites. We are just privileged to have them here and to have this connection with them being so far away. And we appreciate the time that they are taking, like Scott said, to and share today.
So, Rob, you might share a little bit about how you got there. That inspiration you get on a Sunday to sit in church and get prompted.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? I guess I've been here for 2 weeks. So it's 3 weeks ago. I was sitting in church, and I will say this. I do have a son serving in the Poland-Warsaw mission. And so I guess I've probably been a little bit more sensitive to what's going on with Ukraine and all the refugees in Poland. And so I watched the news quite a bit and intently, and just seeing what's going on, it pulled at my heartstrings. But I was sitting in church, and it came to me that I needed to be here in Poland and help the refugees. And there was something I could do. I could rent vans, and I could come pick people up and take them to where they needed to go on their travels away from the dangers that are happening in Ukraine. And
oh my goodness.
I actually called up a few friends and said, I've got this idea. I want to rent some vans and go and do this. Do you want to go? Do you want to go to the rescue? And immediately I had a couple friends join in. I mean, the two people that came with me, Dave LeBaron and his wife, Olga, who is from Ukraine. Dave actually served his mission in Ukraine. I had never met them before.
Oh, wow.
We just chatted over social media, and I found out that they spoke Ukrainian, and that was the only thing that I had reservations of, is I needed someone with the language.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
We got on the phone, and in 15 minutes we were booking plane tickets together.
Oh my God.
That is incredible. And we also have Solomon coming on. Let's see if this is going to work. We'll try it. Do you want to tell us who Solomon is and what he's doing?
So another inspired call was, and Solomon can tell you how he received his call. His call came through his wife. But Solomon and I met up over Facebook Messenger, and I received a friend request. And when I saw the picture, I said, I need to call this guy. And so when we got on the phone and talked, I felt a strong impression that he was one of the reasons why I came here, that I needed to help what he was doing.
Oh, well, we just lost him. We'll try to get him back on here. Okay, he might be back on here. There he is.
Can you hear us, Solomon?
Yeah, sorry. That service is kind of rough out here. I can hear you now.
So Solomon is, you can tell us, Rob, he's actually in Ukraine, right?
Yeah, I'm on my way back from dropping some supplies off at an orphanage. So.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're up to hear your stories.
Oh man. So Solomon, while we have him, why don't you tell how you got to Ukraine, and then maybe a little bit how we met.
So I was just home, and my wife was praying about just how we could help the Ukrainian people out. And that same day, and she's fasting about it, I got a message from some random person or her before, but, I've done some work with some different folks in the past that's kind of similar to what things going out here in Ukraine. And he just offered me a plane ticket to Ukraine. I was like, that sounds like an interesting idea. I'm like, there's no way my wife is going to be okay with it. And so I gave my wife a call. I'm like, hey, honey, what do you think if I went to Ukraine just to see what type of help they could need out there? And she's like, yes, you're going. I'm like, okay, that's not what I was expecting you to say. I thought you were going to be like, no way. And so my sitting on the fence, kind of a good idea, turned into, oh my goodness, I'm really going. And so 2 or 3 days later, I'm on a flight out here, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do versus just, I've lived in, different countries like this for 15 years. And one of my jobs is I'd fly into countries and set up businesses and operations. And so I just knew how to kind of get into locations and just kind of try to find what's wrong or what needs to be fixed. And so shut up. And, the biggest issue I found is that there just was a big disconnect of all these nonprofits bringing supplies and resources and help to the border. But there's so many people inside the border not getting out that weren't getting the help they needed. And so I'm used to just kind of this environment. So I just, was able to find vehicles and go into the border and start helping people. I got some nonprofits that are bringing in medical supplies. So initially I was getting medical supplies to different clinics, and then made relationships with some local Christian groups within the Ukraine area and reached out to them and helped them get them food up to Kyiv and different hard hit areas. And initially we're using car rentals and going all the way through Hungary. So adding about 9 hours because it's the only border that lets us bring car rentals into the country. So a lot of driving. I'm turning into a pretty stellar driver of the European roads and their uniqueness it is. And I saw, I was just reading articles online. My mother, she's been trying to get me to connect with different groups out there, and I'm not typically a very social person. And so she kind of prods me along, as well as my wife. And I saw the article that had Rob on there, and so I just sent him a message on Facebook. And then next morning we were on the phone talking about what we were doing, and just seemed like there's a lot of alignment of synergy of what we were trying to do, and made sense to connect. And then we ended up hooking up at a hotel room at 2:30 in the morning, sleeping together. And the next morning woke up and introduced ourselves to each other. Oh, it's like nice sleeping with you. I'm Solomon, by the way.
Oh, dear.
A lot of late nights. We've driven. I've got some guys with me all over the world, and a lot of locals. We've driven, nonstop for 30 hours sometimes. Just getting these places are very, very far away. So yeah, sometimes we fall asleep at 4. Last night, I think we were back at 4:30 in the morning after coming back from Lviv, me and people. But just how it is, when you're helping others, your time is their time, so you just make it work.
Oh my goodness!
Thank you so
What a humbling
much.
story.
Oh, wow. I just can't imagine what you're witnessing.
Miracles, yeah. Lord's hand, Lord, of all the things I've learned and the testimonies that's built for me, is that the Lord loves each person so much that he's willing to move mountains for one person.
Yes,
I think that's
no
probably the biggest thing I learned out here.
Yeah, so Solomon and his group are really the heroes. They are getting the water to the end of the row. A lot of groups work hard to just even turn the water on. It's difficult. And some of these groups are so big that it's hard for them to really get moving and get supplies in. But it's guys like Solomon and his team that are really getting the water to the end of the row. They're actually getting the food and the supplies and things that are desperately needed right now to those that need it. And he is, to me, a real hero.
I can't imagine pulling into an orphanage with a van full of supplies, having all those little starving kids.
It's great. You've got a country where they've looked, 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road of what their lives are going to be. And now it's reduced to the next 24 hours.
Survival.
I just need people to love them. That people care and they're there for them.
You're doing that. Thank you. Wow.
Sorry.
Yes. Can't thank you enough. Our prayers, all the prayers that are going out for you and your crews and all those who are so willing to put themselves out there. It's not an easy thing, and we are so grateful. I can't imagine how grateful those are that are getting helped. And I'm sure you have many stories about them, the people.
Yeah, I mean, one thing comes to mind. When I first got out here, we didn't have any connections really to resources, and so we were scrambling around buying medical supplies from pharmaceutical companies, or like not pharmaceutical companies, your local I can't pharmacies, not pharmacies and stuff. Well, they stopped selling to us because we would buy them out.
Oh,
And we had this clinic just south of Kyiv that was really desperate for some supplies. And I was sitting in Krakow airport picking a guy up from the airport. He was supposed to run a trade, but I was like, no, I'll go pick you up. It's there about 10 p.m. on Friday night. And I was calling around to nonprofits trying to get some food for a run we'd do the next day. And we needed medical supplies as well. We had 4 station wagons that were filling full of supplies, and we had a car that was completely empty. We were trying to get medical supplies for. We couldn't find anyone. And then the guy I was talking to on the phone, he just made a side, as communicating, like, hey, let me call you back right in a second. I've got a person I'm trying to help out. They've got a truckload full of medical supplies in Krakow right now. Let me call you back. And I was like, no, don't call me back. I'm here right now. Tell them that I'll pick it up. And the supplies has been sitting for 2 weeks. No one's picked it up. And so they made the phone call, and it was 5 minutes away. And I picked it up, and it was almost exactly what we needed with the list of we had from the clinic. We were going to go. We got to Ukraine the next day.
Oh,
so
wow.
just really amazing miracles.
Yeah, that's not by chance.
No.
Yeah, it's
you've
been.
definitely been helped.
I think everybody that's been here is had miracle after miracle. Every day has been full of miracles. Talking about medical supplies. When I decided to come, I actually bumped into a gal in Costco, and family friend, and we just started visiting, just normal formalities of visiting about family and so forth. And she didn't know I was planning on going to Ukraine. And at the end of our conversation, she went on to tell me, how her family was struggling because they had a sister-in-law that was from Ukraine, and her family was still struggling to get out. And the Spirit prompted me, and I said, I need you to know that I'm going to Ukraine on Friday, and that I'll do everything I can to help your family. The good news is the family got out before we even got on the ground. But what that precipitated was she reached out to her sister-in-law and introduced her to me. And by that night at 11:30, the sister-in-law is sending me a list of supplies that the doctors down in Ukraine were requesting that they desperately needed. That was 11:30 at night on Wednesday. Thursday morning at 5:30, I send out a request to my doctor friends and send these lists saying we need these supplies. By that evening, I had half a garage full of medical supplies and medicines to go with us. And we packed all those supplies in Lowe's boxes, packing boxes from Lowe's. And we were able to bring 10 boxes with us on the plane. And we had made arrangements beforehand for those supplies to be picked up in Warsaw by an ambulance that would take them down, transfer them from Warsaw down and take them further down to the border and then down into Ukraine. And so those boxes were loaded up, and I asked him, I said, would you please take a picture each time these medical supplies transfer to the next person who's making the delivery? And just set that in the back of my mind. And a few miracles happened that we ended up at a certain gas station for a certain, at a certain time. And one of the, hundreds of gas stations that are along the road, and one of the, thousands of ambulances now that are running up and down the roadway. Well, when we pulled into that gas station to fill up with gas as we're delivering refugees, to families, I pulled up behind the ambulance and I said to my buddy, I said, wouldn't it be funny if our medical supplies are in that ambulance? And we pulled up behind that ambulance and looked through the window, and you could see those Lowe's labels, through the window. And we both, John Norton and I, we both lost it. And I think we scared the ambulance driver to death because we were screaming and yelling and crying all at the same time. And John was like, you got our supplies, you got our supplies. And the ambulance driver's like, no, these aren't yours. And finally, one of the guys who knew we were, he stuck his head out and said, yes, these are your supplies.
These are yours.
So, and to me right there, and I don't know, the purpose of that, altogether, other than the Lord just saying, remember, you're on the Lord's errand. I called you here to do my work. And it's been evident every day that we've been here. And Solomon is another one of those that, as we met and as we spent 24 hours together, I will tell you that's a sacred time that I had with him as we pulled up with supplies that had been sitting at the border for a week. And you've got a young single adult leader that has kids that were at a youth conference in Lviv before the war broke out. So they were all stuck in Lviv, and now they're living at a resort up in the hills to try to keep them safe. And they desperately needed some supplies that the goodness of the heart of Dave LeBaron, he was able to, with donors, they were able to pick up those supplies, get them packed in this van. But unfortunately, we were missing that link of getting them down into Ukraine. And lo and behold, that's where Solomon shows up.
Steps in.
And Solomon and I, had the blessed opportunity to pull up to that church. And here you have a Area 70 who is called as the young single adult leader leading the youth. He just felt that morning inspired that he needed to go to the church. And as we pulled up to the church and he saw those supplies, he was just thrilled to death. I didn't even realize that we had those supplies. I thought those were delivered days beforehand.
We loaded them up in Krakow on Saturday.
And so they'd been sitting there. And so they were just absolutely thrilled.
Oh my, one miracle after another. Do you want to go through the slides that you sent us and talk about some of that, or
just tell some stories of some of the people that you have transported?
Well, I think it's been really interesting because you've got thousands of people. The first night we were here, the refugee center processed 28,000 refugees. And so when you walk in the door and you've got the line, filling up the whole building and going out the door of people coming in, you think it's just so overwhelming. And you sit there and say, how can I help these people? There's so many. But I will tell you, in each case that we've had, the Lord sent us to the individual. He sent us to the individual family. And, we took these people, and in the process have established friendships and relationships already with these people that we're now communicating with them over Facebook and Instagram. And they're posting about how God has sent angels to help them, and about how, they're so grateful for being able to get the help to flee to safety. The picture you have up there is that's a little guy that his name Artem, Artem was with his mom and sister, actually on the other side of the Polish border. He was over, they were waiting in line to come across the border in Ukraine. And I was approached by a relief worker who was aware of what we were doing. And we've kind of built up a reputation here that they know that the Utah, Idaho guys deliver. And so I had a relief worker come up to me and say, "Can you take a mom with cancer and 2 little kids up to Whoosh?" And I said, "Absolutely." And so he took me up to them, and it was a sacred moment because you've got a father saying goodbye to his wife and to his children. And it was a situation where I was a little bit concerned of how sensitive it was. And here I am standing there, and the tears were flowing on each one of them. And I through the translator of this relief worker, I just told this man, I said, "Father to father, man to man, I promise you that I'll take care of your wife and I'll get her where she needs to be, get her there safely." And so, by the time I got him across the border through customs and immigration, the little boy was letting me hold him, and we took him to the van and loaded up and carried him all the way from the border up to Whoosh, which we got in about 2:30 in the morning. And as I dropped him off, it was a sweet experience of she had gotten her husband back on the phone with a video chat and showed me her husband, and he, in his best English that he had, was telling me, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And I told him, I said, I was able to fulfill my promise. And she then goes on to read a statement that she has written out and translated into English, expressing her love and gratefulness to God that we were able to help her out. And then I woke up this morning, and I think I shared this one with Solomon. I woke up this morning, and her father had actually sent a post to me expressing his love and appreciation to me for taking care of his daughter and his grandchildren. And very touching statement that he said that he will pray for me every day of his life. And so there is missionary work done here that is just absolutely unbelievable, because these type of posts are being seen by all their friends, thousands of friends, and representing what the Savior really wants us to do. He wants us to minister. He wants us to love, whether you're a member of the church or not. He wants us to love all of his children, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to bless and help and try to relieve some of the burden that these poor fathers, these poor mothers and children are having to go through because of a war. I mean, sometimes when we think of war, we think of soldiers and we think of the bloodshed. But I will tell you, what I've seen is even more painful. It's the emotional carnage of these women and children, and these husbands, sending their women away, not knowing if they're going to be safe. These women are coming across the border into a foreign land, to foreign people, worried because all they've been told about is the human trafficking and the dangers. And then the women on the other side, or the women that are leaving, in a situation where, they don't know if they're going to see their husbands again. The children don't know if they'll see dad again. It is a very heartbreaking situation that I would say that the pain and sorrow of that is being swallowed up by the love and kindness of so many people that have come to help and to love and to serve and to minister the way that the Savior would minister. And this isn't about Rob Sturgill. This isn't about a church or an organization or a charity. This is about brothers and sisters being kind to brothers and sisters, being more like our Savior Jesus Christ. And that's what this is truly about.
Yes, it is.
So true.
Oh, goodness.
So is this picture we have of that's your family,
That's
right?
your family, and thank them, and thank all of your families for the support that they're giving you. Look at that beautiful family back home.
Yeah, that's the one with the bow tie is actually Sturgill, who's serving in the Poland mission right now.
That's wonderful.
That there is actually a warehouse where Solomon is having supplies brought in that are staged there, and then he picks them up and takes them down into Ukraine with his group of very brave angels.
Yes.
And Solomon, you chime in on those because you know more about it than I do.
Okay.
That picture right there, that's actually my brother on the far end, and Paul Hackey from Idaho Falls on the other end. And I tell you what, this is their family. And when I say their family, they love these people. They picked this family up from the border. It's a family of 12. And, the easy thing to do would be tell them, we'll take you to the train station and then get on a train and then get on a bus to transfer to another train to then transfer to another bus to get to the place where they had someone offer to take them in Dinkenbühl, Germany. And Dave and Paul felt very prompted that they needed to load this little family of 12 into their vans and take them all the way to Germany. And so this was yesterday. These two drove all the way across Poland into Germany and dropped this family off in Dinkenbühl at about 1 a.m. I was talking to my brother this morning and just asked him, how things went. And he choked up, said, that was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, was drop that family off and leave them there. Paul and Dave, they definitely have, come to love that family. And that's actually in front of a hotel. Because they got in from the border late and they didn't want to start the drive until the next morning, we picked up hotel rooms for this family. And the kids and the family walked into the hotel and they were just in awe because they said, we have never stayed at a hotel before. This was just, they said, it's like Hollywood. And so they were just thrilled to death to be able to be in a hotel and actually have a bed to sleep in and a warm shower to shower in and actually breakfast in the morning. So just those simple pleasures that we take for granted.
Wow. Oh, that is just beautiful.
Let's go on.
Let's see what else we've got here. So sweet, so
So
tender.
that is what you see. You see the men, saying goodbye to their wives and the hugs and this is actually a couple that we bumped into at the chapel in Lviv. We were asked. We dropped off the supplies, and Solomon and I had unloaded the vehicle, and our plans were to turn around and just head back to Poland. And the Area 70 asked if we could go pick up a dryer. And we said, absolutely, we've got this van, let's use it. And so we drove to the store and picked up the dryer. And in that meantime, this couple and their daughter and their cat showed up to the church and asked if they could get a ride back with us. And so we ended up loading up the sister and her daughter and the cat into the van. Now, this is a van that we've taken the seats out so that it can be stuffed with cargo. So they ended up sitting on a mattress in the back of the van, all the way from Lviv up into Krakow, which ended up being I think it ended up being about 10 hours because we spent 5 hours waiting to get across the border.
Oh my goodness.
But this was a sweet experience because as they got into the phone, she went on to explain to me that she had a brother in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so I actually said, well, let's give him a call. So as Solomon was driving, I called Sturgill, her brother, and let him know that we had his sister and niece in the van with us and that we were taking them to Krakow that night and would help him get on from there. And he was emotional. He was overwhelmed that they were going to be taken to safety. And the first thing he said is, how could he pay us? Or, could he give us money or whatever? And of course, I told him that's not why we were here and that we were glad that we could help out. And so he and I will probably meet up when I get back home as I fly through Salt Lake. We're going to get together and probably cry a little bit and hug a little bit and share, some sacred moments together of, brother to brother, helping each other out.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
there's another part of that story that Rob didn't tell, and this is maybe more of the kind of funny part. So when you're going through Ukraine, you get checkpoints all the time. They're looking for strange circumstances. So we're just getting outside the city of Lviv, and sure enough, we're the only car they pull over. And so you've got these two white Americans sitting in front of this van, and then this big empty back van with two women sitting on, mattresses on the very back. And the guy just shined his light back there and looks at me like, what the heck are you guys doing? And he starts speaking Ukrainian to us. And I just like, I don't know. I'm like, English. I don't know what you're saying. And so he pulls them out and talks to them like, wow, what a really odd looking circumstance. But then they talked to the two ladies and they could speak language, and whatever they said, it worked, and they let them back in the car with us. So I guess they trusted enough to let us back in and went on our way. So
yeah,
another miracle.
I thought we were actually going to end up spending the night in jail.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a picture right there. There you go.
Picture right there.
That's the picture right there.
Stuff.
Oh.
Now, doesn't that look like a sketchy?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh.
That's actually the supplies that Solomon delivered today to the orphanage. So that's the food that was going in the van to be transferred into Solomon's van that he ended up taking today. He dropped it off earlier today.
Wow. It's just amazing how so many worldwide have come together, and you're making it possible for their donations and their prayers to be answered. Their donations to be delivered, the money that they give, the donations, and yes, so many prayers.
That's actually Armin and the two little kids. This is the mother with cancer that we took up to Woosh, and this is a post that she sent to me with the picture, and we both felt really bad because it was 2:30 in the morning and we forgot to take a picture together. And so she sent me this picture and then, told me that she was so sad that we forgot to take a selfie together.
Oh, well,
that look in her eyes tells such a story.
Yeah, so much gratitude.
That's the chapel in Lviv. Beautiful chapel up on the hill. That's the checkpoint where two sketchy guys were pulled over because they had two women. I mean, I think the only way we could have made it look worse is if we had their hands, tied behind their backs.
Yeah.
Oh my, I think that's it. So what do we do next?
So I think we need to hear from Elder Schroeder. What do you think?
Yes.
Elder Schroeder.
Were you surprised when you got called down there?
We were speaking in a city near the border where I think Elder Uchtdorf was born, in Ostrava. or we were in Olomouc. The city where he was from is north of that in Ostrava, Czechia. And that we were speaking in church there. It's about 2 hours from the central part of Czech Republic where we live. And we had just gone on Thursday with a group of saints, young adults, to the Freiburg Temple the day the bombing started. And there were Ukrainians on the bus. We have grown between 2 semesters working at this location to absolutely love the people from many countries, including Ukraine. And they sang the Ukrainian, you may see some of my Facebook posts, they sang the Ukrainian national song. And there was great peace as we went to the temple. And then so that was like on the Thursday, right? And on Sunday we spoke and we got a call. Would we be willing to go into Poland to help with refugee efforts and helping the church kind of strengthen there in Krakow here where we are now? And we absolutely said yes, we wanted to go. So we came 3 weeks and a couple days ago, and we've just been able to witness so many miracles. I'll just share a couple. I posted a little bit yesterday, and I post a lot only because I want the people of the world. Sometimes we forget the news. I want them to know these people are strong. The Lord is looking after them, and there's been miracle after miracle every day. Just to give you, as we got here, for those who know this line, we went not knowing beforehand what we were to do. And the Lord has shown us every day. My wife and I would get on our knees and say, what can we do today to help your children? And there would be many cases that day that we didn't know who they were, but he did. And we met up with them. Probably this week, some of the most touching is, I think it may have come from the Area 70 in Lviv, but we had just checked in people. You probably see my post. The hotel we're at kind of closes at 12 for check-in, but we have rooms that we've reserved. And these wonderful drivers, if we don't have people booked for them, we will email them because the time that they cross the border is all through the night. And we'll say, Rob or whomever the driver is, we have 5 rooms available. We can put 10 adults and 4 or 5 children with each adult room. And so I had just finished checking in some people around 1 a.m. and I get a call at 4 a.m. on, I think it's today, Friday, on Wednesday morning, and say, we have a bus here with 40 refugees. 6 of them are from Lviv, our branch, our ward there. And it really, even though we had little sleep, we woke my wife up. We were a 5-minute walk from where the bus in front of the church. And 3 or 4 people in wheelchairs, crutches, the elderly, the maimed. And we didn't have enough rooms. All the ones we could, we took about 10 people to hotels. And the rest, we let them rest. We had just been preparing. We have another floor on the building here where we can put futons and take more people in, for a night. But we let some people just rest in the church, and the Cossacks who are here from Germany stayed with them. We came back a few hours later after we checked in. They were resting. So over the next 2 days, many of those people, Elder and Sister Foot, serving their 3rd mission, took a man in a wheelchair. Hopefully he got enough medication. He had gangrene in his leg. And the next day we put him in a hotel room. We got to know him. We had an elder who had served in Latvia and could speak Russian. I posted some of that follow-up this morning, but got to know the man. He was a wheelchair champion in Ukraine, very proud of it. So you see the distress, but as you get to know them, they could be your neighbor back home, have a wonderful story, And we had one of the church drivers get him to the train station and got him on his way towards Denmark. And as I said in my post, he wants to go from being number 3 basketball wheelchair champion to number 1 player in Denmark. I just loved his spirit. His wife had a maimed arm from some botched surgery and some, and they just have so much strength and spirit. And today, the last group, we had some wonderful members. Henry contacted in Germany, and a lady with a bad leg in her wheelchair, and a 75-year-old woman, probably with her 50-year-old son with a cane, and another brother with a broken pelvic on crutches, been staying in the hotel where we are for a couple of nights. And it's wonderful. These things happen. You can't write the script, Rob, can you?
No.
So this other,
Yeah.
I'll finish the story quickly, sorry, but this other, Henry found out this driver from a German base. Her husband's a member and he's a doctor there. Their son had just come off a mission 3 days ago. They were bringing medical supplies to the border. They're on their way back. Is there someone they could help? Yes, they picked up these 4 people. Henry Kosak got them a place to get some medical treatment back in Germany. As I'll put it on later on my Facebook, as we were helping them into the car, the lady who had crawled up the 6 steps a couple days before, I said, "You're not crawling back down those steps and getting into your wheelchair." There's some men that came in the hotel and we lifted her wheelchair down the 6 steps. We got her out to the door, to the car, this good sister going back to Germany. And we had a translator there, told them all the details, what was going to go on. And as we were waiting for a few phone calls, probably one of the tender moments, they happen every day. I'm holding this 75-year-old lady's hand and she's just grasping me. And tears are coming down her face of gratitude. And you know how in Europe, a lot of times they hug and they kiss to the side. And it touches your life. And you're grateful to be part of the good in humanity. And, you know, they're not of our faith, but they're of God's children. And they knew we loved them. And I could feel their love of gratitude. That happens every day. I could tell you 3 or 4 stories a day, even though I'm kind of taking a role now of coordinating what's going on in the Krakow hub for the church. But these volunteers that have come, like Solomon and Rob, and week before we had Gentleman Will. All I can tell you is I am amazed. You know, I stand all amazed. You know that song? The grace of God is amazingly strong. And those people were so indebted and grateful. A couple nights rest in a hotel room. They could shower. Some of them have gone weeks. And some of them are incontinent products. And they may not smell wonderful, but they are wonderful people. Anyway, I'm sorry I took so long on my
No, thank you for
stories.
sharing these stories. And Pamela in the comments asked that we put in or have you tell us what your Facebook profiles are, where they can find these stories. And then Rob, let's make sure that you mention your charity and how donations can be made.
So my charity is called typeofwood.org. So typeofwood.org. I established that back after the typhoon in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. And it's just being used to do humanitarian projects. We've done projects around the world. You can go to typeofwood.org and just see the different things we've got involved in. But I will tell you right now, typeofwood.org is wanting to raise a significant amount of money in a short period of time. And it's for this hero right here, Solomon Smith. He and a group of ex-military special op guys who are willing to risk their lives are driving these much needed food and supplies into the hospitals, the orphanages, and to the church, stockpiling food so they'll have it just in case things really turn bad. We are in desperate need to get these supplies down as quickly as possible And so I'm reaching out to all my friends and family, and I'm trying to raise $150,000 in the next 24 hours. So if folks out there are saying, what can I do? If you want to help people in Ukraine, if you want to help children to get food and help folks in the hospitals to get the medical supplies right now that are desperately needed, we would love to be able to go tomorrow and buy 3 more vans for Solomon and his team of heroes to continue to supply these people with the much needed food and medical supplies that are needed down there right now.
Thank you so much. Solomon, thank you so much for all you're doing.
And please thank the others that aren't with us today and tell them we are praying for all of you.
And please be safe.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be safe. We'll take care of these people. They deserve
and
it.
You are true disciples of Jesus Christ, doing what he would do for those that cannot do it for themselves. And you are so appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope to hear more from you. Please post these stories and we will share how to give and donate to.
And we'd love to
Solomon,
follow
you drive
up
safe.
Yeah, be safe.
Yeah,
Solomon.
be safe.
Yeah, well,
He's had probably 6 hours of sleep in the last 3 or 4 days. So,
Extra
Your
prayers.
family needs you, my friend.
That's right.
I'll be safe. I'll drive safely.
I think all of the drivers, all the volunteers here have kind of had the same scenario where we drive because it's very difficult when you have these special sweet experiences. I mean, it's almost addictive. It's almost like a drug that you want to go help another family.
Yeah.
You know, there's something that's wonderful about that spirit that of giving and of love and of kindness. I think it's the closest feeling that you can have, that the love of the Savior, and it's addictive and you want more of it. In fact, Paul and Dave, they dropped off that family in Germany last night and they turned around and they drove back because they want to get back down to the border so they can pick up another family. And so it's one thing that we're really having to work on with our volunteers is getting them to agree to get sleep at night. And
yes.
I really can't say anything because I've been the worst example.
I'm sure you have.
But thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to
Thanks so
share
much.
stories.
Thank you, guys.
Sharing, and we invite everyone who watches this, and it will be circulated a lot more. We invite all of you to share this and let people know what is going on and the goodness of these people that you're talking to right now.
And the miracles
in their hearts.
and the love Heavenly Father has for all of his children. It's so obvious as we watch his hand.
Yes.
If you want to read, I say my name is pretty easy for a lot of people to remember. I'm not Ricky Schroeder, the actor, but I'm Rick Schroeder, and my name's spelled a little different. It's DTER at the end. If you want to look, you can.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Great.
And we will also put those into the comments so all the viewers can find you and be inspired. Thank you again. Thank all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us share our miracles and our stories with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.